Be me, Arthur, SEO specialist. Or at least, I was. The story starts back during the Great Plague of the 2020s. The whole world shut down. My company, a mid-sized marketing firm, had a big all-hands video call one Friday afternoon. The CEO had that fake sad look on his face, the kind people use when they have to fire a golden retriever. He went on about unprecedented challenges and restructuring for a new paradigm. Corporate speak for "a bunch of you are getting canned." My department got hit the hardest. Marketing is always the first to go. An hour later, an email from HR landed in my inbox. My access to the company server was already gone. So there I was, stuck in my apartment, watching the world burn on the news, with no job. The first few weeks were a blur of updating my resume, polishing my LinkedIn, and applying for anything that looked remotely stable. It was a bloodbath. Every remote job posting had hundreds of applicants within an hour. I sent out applications like I was firing a machine gun, hoping one bullet would hit something. Most of the time, I got nothing back. Not even an automated rejection email. Just silence. My savings started to look less like a cushion and more like a thin, worn-out mat. The days started blending together. Wake up, drink coffee, scour job boards, feel a crushing sense of despair, play video games until 3 a.m. repeat. It must have been a couple of months into this routine. Maybe late spring, when the weather was getting nice, but we were all still locked inside. I was scrolling through a niche marketing job board, scraping the bottom of the barrel. And then I saw it. A posting for a senior SEO strategist at an agency called Empower SEO. The requirements were a perfect match for my skills. Technical SEO, content strategy, analytics, the whole package. It was fully remote too. It felt like finding an oasis in the desert. I clicked on the agency's website to do some research before applying. The landing page was plastered with stock photos of smiling, diverse women. The color scheme was all soft pinks and purples. The founder and CEO was a woman named Juliet. Her bio was long. It mentioned her passion for breaking glass ceilings and creating safe, collaborative spaces for women to thrive, free from the constraints of the patriarchy. My internal alarm bells started ringing faintly. I went to her professional social media page. It was even more intense. Every post was a long screed about toxic masculinity in the workplace and how male ego stifles creativity. She wrote about how her agency was a revolutionary, women-led initiative designed to prove that female leadership was inherently more empathetic and effective. One post literally said, "At Empower SEO, we are building a world where the female perspective isn't just included, it's the foundation." It was all a bit much, but I was desperate. A job is a job. I figured I could just keep my head down, do good work, and ignore the corporate ideology. My skills were top tier. My portfolio was solid. I had a proven track record of getting results for big clients. Surely competence would matter more than my gender. So I crafted the best application I could. I customized my cover letter, highlighted my specific achievements, and hit send. I didn't have to wait long. Usually, with other jobs, it was days or weeks of silence. An hour later, I got an email notification. It was from Juliet herself. My heart actually skipped a beat. I thought, this is it. Finally, a real lead. I opened the email. It was short, to the point. "Hi, Arthur. Thank you for your interest in the senior SEO strategist position. Your portfolio is impressive. However, to maintain the unique and supportive culture we've built at Empower SEO, we are exclusively considering female candidates for this role. We wish you the best in your job search." That was it. I just stared at the screen for a solid 5 minutes. It wasn't an automated rejection. It wasn't a "we found someone more qualified" line. It was a direct, explicit, "you're a man, so you can't work here." All that talk about inclusivity and breaking down barriers was apparently a one-way street. I was furious. The sheer hypocrisy was staggering. Here I was, struggling to pay rent during a global pandemic, and I was being turned away from a job I was perfectly qualified for, based on nothing but my sex. The frustration stewed in me for days. I kept applying for other jobs, but my heart wasn't in it. That rejection letter had really gotten under my skin. Out of some morbid curiosity, I kept tabs on Juliet's social media. A week or two later, she posted a long, whining rant. She was complaining about the disappointing lack of qualified female talent in the SEO field. She lamented how hard it was to find women with the right mix of technical and creative skills. The job I applied for was still open. Apparently, her pool of acceptable candidates wasn't delivering. Reading that, something in my brain just snapped. A crazy, audacious idea started to form. It was petty. It was ridiculous. It was probably illegal in a dozen different ways. And it was perfect. I immediately opened up Discord and called my two best friends, Emir and Jensen. We'd known each other for years. We were all in the same boat, unemployed, bored, and going slightly stir-crazy from the lockdown. Emir is a tech wizard, the kind of guy who can code anything, automate anything, and probably hack into the Pentagon if he got bored enough. Jensen is a creative genius, a brilliant writer who could sell water to a drowning man. He was the king of crafting compelling narratives. They both picked up. I explained the whole situation. The job application, the rejection, Juliet's hypocritical whining on social media. At first, they just laughed. Then they got angry on my behalf. Then I pitched my idea. She wants qualified women so badly, I said. Let's give them to her. There was a moment of silence on the call. Then Emir let out a slow chuckle. You can't be serious. Why not? I pushed. Think about it. We all need work. This agency is clearly desperate. The entire hiring and work process is remote. No in-person meetings. It's the perfect cover. Jensen chimed in, his voice full of amusement. So, what's the plan? We put on wigs and do video interviews in a high-pitched voice? Even better, I said. We create completely fictional people. That's when Emir got interested. The technical challenge appealed to him. It's doable, he said, thinking out loud. AI-generated faces are incredibly realistic now. We can create entire online footprints, LinkedIn profiles, portfolios, the works. Jensen caught on immediately. And I can write their backstories, craft their professional personas, make them the most appealing candidates anyone has ever seen. The plans solidified over the next hour. We wouldn't just create one persona, we'd create 3, a whole team, one for each of us. I would be Madison, the lead SEO strategist with a background in data analysis. Jensen would be Chloe, the creative content lead and copywriter. Emir would be Sophia, the technical SEO expert and automation specialist. It was a perfect division of our actual skills, just hidden behind new names and faces. The next few days were a blur of activity. It was the most motivated I'd been in months. Emir worked his magic. He used a generative adversarial network to create 3 headshots. They were flawless, not supermodels, just normal, professional-looking women in their late 20s or early 30s. You could not tell they weren't real people. He built out their LinkedIn profiles, backfilling them with plausible job histories at companies that had gone under or been acquired, making them hard to check. Jensen was on fire. He created entire portfolios for each persona. For Madison, he took my best work and framed it with a narrative about data-driven decision-making. For Chloe, he wrote brilliant copy and content strategy documents, stuff that was better than his real-life portfolio, because he had no creative constraints. For Sophia, he worked with Emir to document some of Emir's complex automation scripts, presenting them as technical SEO audit fixes. We spent hours refining every detail. Their supposed university degrees, their lists of skills, even the kind of language they would use in their cover letters. We made sure their resumes were distinct but complementary. They looked like a dream team that had, by sheer coincidence, all applied for jobs at the same agency around the same time. Finally, we were ready. One by one, over the course of a week, we submitted their applications to Empower SEO. Madison applied for the senior strategist role. Chloe applied for a content manager position that had also been open for a while. Sophia applied for a technical SEO analyst job. The response was immediate. Juliet was ecstatic. She replied to Madison within an hour, gushing about her impressive background. The interviews were a joke. Because of the pandemic and the remote setup, she was fine with doing them entirely over email and a messaging app. There were no video calls, no phone calls. It was the perfect loophole. Jensen handled all the communication, carefully tailoring the writing style for each of our personas. Madison was professional and direct. Chloe was bubbly and creative. Sophia was quiet, technical, and to the point. Juliet ate it up. She was so blinded by her own ideology and her desperation for good employees that she didn't see any red flags. Within 2 weeks, all 3 of our creations had received job offers. We had done it. We were in. The first day of work was surreal. We all logged into the company's Slack channel. Juliet posted a welcome message, tagging our 3 personas, full of clapping emojis and talk about unstoppable girl power. We had a shared Discord server that was our real headquarters. We'd be on a voice call there all day while typing away in Slack, coordinating our every move. The work itself was straightforward. It was what we were good at. I would map out the high-level strategy for a new client. Jensen would write the content briefs and ad copy. Emir would run the technical audits and build scripts to automate the boring parts. We were a well-oiled machine, far more efficient than any team we'd ever worked on in the real world. We started turning failing projects around in weeks. Client satisfaction scores went through the roof. Juliet was completely oblivious. She was a hands-off manager, which was perfect for us. Her job, as she saw it, was to be the visionary. She would take all the credit for our work and use it to build her personal brand. Her LinkedIn posts became even more insufferable. She'd share screenshots of the glowing client feedback we were getting. She'd write things like, "This is what happens when you remove male ego from the equation. Pure collaboration and incredible results. So proud of my team of amazing women." We would read these posts on our Discord call and just howl with laughter. We had to be careful, though. We lived in constant, low-grade fear of being discovered. We had a list of rules. Never agree to a video call. Always double-check which persona you're signed in as before sending an email. Use the pre-approved feminine emojis in Slack. Jensen was the master of ceremonies. He'd remind us, "Okay, Chloe needs to sound more enthusiastic about this project. Sophia, you should ask a very detailed technical question that no one else understands." It became a kind of game. The agency grew. With the results we were bringing in, Juliet had no trouble signing new, bigger clients. Our pay was decent, not amazing, but for 3 guys who had been unemployed during a pandemic, it was a lifeline. And there was a certain satisfaction in it, a sense of poetic justice. We were proving that our skills were valuable, even if the person paying for them refused to acknowledge us. We were succeeding not despite the system, but by hijacking it. Months went by like this. Summer turned into fall. The agency's reputation exploded. A major industry blog wanted to do a feature on Juliet and Empower SEO. They called her the new face of feminist entrepreneurship. The article was filled with quotes from her about her intuitive hiring process and how she could just sense a certain collaborative energy from women that men lacked. She talked about her all-star team of Madison, Chloe, and Sophia. She praised Madison's sharp analytical mind, Chloe's creative flair, and Sophia's technical brilliance. The journalist had asked to interview the team, but Juliet had shut it down, saying her team was very busy delivering results and a bit camera shy. A lucky break for us. We were her ghostwriters, her ghost strategists, the secret engine behind her feminist success story. The irony was so thick you could cut it with a knife. She was becoming a minor celebrity in her niche, all built on the work of the very men she so openly disdained. But the bigger we got, the more risks we had to take. New clients meant more complex projects, more meetings, more chances for us to slip up. We managed to dodge video calls by claiming our webcams were broken or our internet connection was unstable. The pandemic made these excuses plausible for a while, but we knew it couldn't last forever. We were walking a tightrope, and the fall would be a long one. The tipping point came sometime after the new year. We landed our biggest client yet, a huge name in the e-commerce space. Their CEO was a mess, and they were bleeding money to competitors. They were offering a massive monthly retainer, the kind of money that could take the agency to the next level. Juliet was practically vibrating with excitement. The project was assigned to us, of course. Her A-team. We spent the next month buried in work. I mapped out a complete overhaul of their site architecture. Jensen rewrote thousands of product descriptions. Amir built a suite of custom tools to monitor their rankings in real time. The results were almost immediate. Within 6 weeks, their organic traffic had doubled. Their sales from search had tripled. The client was blown away. They couldn't believe it. The main contact at the client company, some senior VP of marketing, sent an email directly to Juliet. He praised the team's work, calling it the most effective SEO campaign I've ever witnessed. And then he dropped the bomb. He wanted to sign a multi-year, 7-figure contract with Empower SEO. But before they finalized the paperwork, he had one request. He wanted to have a single video conference call. He wanted to personally meet and thank the brilliant team of Madison, Chloe, and Sophia, and discuss the long-term vision for the project with them directly. Juliet forwarded the email to us, along with a message full of exclamation points and celebratory gifs. "Get ready, ladies. This is our big moment. He wants to meet you all on a video call next Friday." The message landed in our Slack channel like a grenade. We immediately jumped on our Discord call. There was a long, heavy silence. Jensen was the first to speak. "Well," he said, "it was a good run." Amir was already running scenarios. "My deepfake software isn't ready for a live, interactive call. The processing lag would be obvious. The voice modulation might glitch. We can't do it. It's impossible." I just sat there, my mind racing. We were caught. This was the dead end we always knew was coming. We had two options. We could just ghost them, disappear, let our personas quit, claiming they found other jobs. The agency would lose the massive contract, but we would get away clean. Juliet's reputation would take a hit, but she'd survive. She'd just go back to whining about the lack of good female talent. Or we could do something else, something much riskier. "No," I said, my voice quiet but firm. "We're not running." Amir and Jensen waited for me to continue. "We're going to take the call." My statement hung in the air on our Discord call. "We're going to take the call." Amir was the first to object. He started rattling off all the technical reasons it was a terrible idea. The risk of failure was too high. The software wasn't designed for this. A single glitch would expose us. Jensen was worried about the legal side. What we were doing was probably some kind of fraud. We could be sued into oblivion. They were both right. The risks were enormous. But I laid out my logic. "If we disappear now," I explained, "she wins. She gets to control the story. She'll tell the client we were unreliable. She'll go on social media, and cry about how her top talent abandoned her. She'll play the victim, and everyone will believe her. Our work, everything we built, will still be credited to her and her twisted ideology. I let that sink in. But if we show up, I continued, we take back the narrative. We're not hiding. We're standing by our work. We can prove we did it. We force them to judge us on our skills, not on who we are. It's the whole reason we started this. It was a gamble, but it was a gamble for the truth. Slowly, they came around. The idea of letting Juliet get away with it was worse than the risk of getting caught. The mood shifted from panic to a kind of grim determination. We had 1 week until the call. We spent it preparing for war. Our first step was to build an arsenal of evidence. We spent 2 days compiling everything. Every email, every project file, every performance report, every line of code Amir wrote. We organized it all into a master folder, with a clear document explaining how each piece of work was created by one of us three. We watermarked some of the key strategy documents with a tiny, almost invisible symbol that only we knew about. It was an undeniable digital paper trail that led directly to us. While Jensen and I did that, Amir was busy building our lifeboat. He worked nonstop for 48 hours. He bought a domain name, something simple and professional. He threw together a clean, minimalist website for a new agency. It just had a landing page with our real names, our actual areas of expertise, and a contact form. It was a statement of intent. It showed we were real professionals, not just pranksters. The rest of the week was spent performing our regular duties as Madison, Chloe, and Sophia. It was the most stressful acting job of our lives. Juliet was in an incredibly good mood, talking constantly in the Slack channel about the bright future of the company. She was already planning a virtual team retreat to celebrate the new contract. We had to play along, responding with cheerful emojis and feigned excitement, all while knowing we were about to detonate a bomb under her entire life's work. Jensen wrote out some talking points for me, so I wouldn't get flustered on the call. The key was to stay calm, professional, and factual. No anger, no accusations, just present the truth and let it speak for itself. The night before the call, none of us slept much. We sat on Discord, mostly in silence, each of us lost in our own thoughts. We had come so far, and it was all about to come to a head. The next morning, Friday, we logged on. The call was scheduled for 10 a.m. We set up a single computer with a good webcam and microphone. We would all be in the frame together, a united front. At 9:59 a.m., we saw the participants in the virtual waiting room. There was the client VP, his name clearly displayed. And there was Juliet. My heart was pounding in my chest. I took a deep breath. I clicked Join Meeting. Our camera and mic were off by default. On the screen, we saw the client, a professional-looking guy in his 50s, smiling politely. And we saw Juliet. She was beaming, radiating smug self-satisfaction. She was in her home office with a bookshelf behind her artfully arranged with books on female empowerment. "Good morning," she said, her voice bright and cheerful. "So excited for this. My team is just joining now. They're the absolute best. You're going to love them." The client VP nodded, looking forward to it. The results they've delivered have been nothing short of spectacular. This was our cue. I looked at Emir and Jensen. They both nodded. I unmuted our microphone. "Good morning," I said, my voice steady. Then I turned on our camera. The screen flickered for a second, and then there we were, 3 guys sitting side by side in my spare bedroom. There was a moment of pure, unadulterated silence. The client VP's polite smile froze on his face. He blinked a few times, a look of utter confusion spreading across his features. But it was Juliet's reaction that I'll never forget. It was like watching a statue crack in real time. Her wide, beaming smile didn't just disappear, it collapsed. Her face went through a rapid-fire sequence of emotions: Confusion, disbelief, dawning horror, and finally, a contorted mask of pure, undiluted rage. Her eyes, which had been sparkling with triumph a moment before, were now narrowed into tiny slits of fury. The client VP was the first to break the silence. "I'm sorry," he said, his tone polite but bewildered. "I think there might be some mistake. We were expecting to meet Madison, Chloe, and Sophia." Juliet finally found her voice. It came out as a strangled hiss. "Who are you? What is this? Is this a hack? I'm calling security." I ignored her. I looked directly at the camera, addressing the client. "There's no mistake," I said calmly, just as Jensen and I had rehearsed. "My name is Arthur. I've been your lead strategist for the past several months. You've known me as Madison." I gestured to Jensen. "This is Jensen, our head of content. You've known him as Chloe." Then to Amir. "And this is Amir, our technical lead. You've known him as Sophia." Juliet let out a sound that was somewhere between a gasp and a scream. "You're lying. This is insane. I've never seen you before in my life." "That's because you never asked to," I replied, still keeping my tone even. "You hired us based on our work, which we submitted under those names. You never had a single video call with your all-star team in all the months we've worked for you." The client VP was just watching, silent, his expression unreadable. He was no longer confused. He was observing, analyzing. "We did this for one reason," I continued, pressing our advantage. "We are exceptionally good at our jobs, but our initial applications under our real names were rejected for one reason: our gender. We were told this company only hires women." Juliet's face was turning a blotchy red. "That's not true. You're liars. You're trying to sabotage my company because you hate successful women." "We have the original rejection email," I said flatly. "We also have every file, every report, and every line of communications proving we are the team that turned your campaign around. The work speaks for itself." The client VP finally spoke. He wasn't looking at us. He was looking directly at Juliet. His voice was cold and professional. "Juliet, is this true? Is it your company's policy to not hire men?" She stammered. We cultivate a certain kind of supportive environment. We prioritize female voices." "That's not a yes or no answer," the VP cut in, his patience clearly gone. She couldn't answer. She just glared at us, her whole body trembling with rage. The VP turned his attention back to us. "So all the work, the strategy, the reports, that was you three?" "Every last bit of it," I confirmed. "We'd be happy to walk you through the back end of the campaign right now and show you our original work files." He held up a hand. "That won't be necessary. The results are the only proof I need." He was silent for a long moment, just looking back and forth between us and the sputtering, furious Juliet. We had put him in a difficult position, but he was a businessman, and businessmen care about results, not ideology. "Well," he said finally, his decision made, "this has been an illuminating call." He addressed Juliet directly. "Frankly, I'm appalled. Your hiring practices are not only discriminatory, but you've also been fundamentally dishonest about who was managing our account. That's a massive liability. We will be terminating our preliminary agreement with Empower SEO, effective immediately." Juliet looked like she had been physically struck. The VP then looked back at us. "Arthur, Jensen, Amir, your work is the reason we wanted to sign this deal. The work is still excellent, regardless of who did it." This was my final move. "We appreciate that," I said. "We've already established our own agency, just the three of us. No politics, no ideology, just a focus on delivering the best results. We would be honored to continue managing your account." The VP's expression didn't change, but I saw a flicker of interest in his eyes. He had a problem, and I had just handed him a perfect solution. Keep the talent, lose the liability. Send me the details, he said. "My assistant will be in touch to schedule a follow-up." And with a curt nod, he left the meeting. The screen felt huge now, with just us and Juliet left. She just stared at us, her mouth opening and closing silently, no sound coming out. The fury on her face had been replaced by a look of utter, hollow devastation. We didn't say another word. We just disconnected. The moment the call ended, the three of us just sat there in silence for a minute. Then, a huge wave of relief washed over me. We had done it. We had pulled it off. The aftermath was swift. The client's legal team contacted Juliet that afternoon. The big contract was officially dead. We signed a new contract directly with them the following week. Our new agency had its first and biggest client. The story started to leak out. You can't keep something like that quiet in the marketing world. That blog that had called her a visionary had to print a humiliating retraction. Other clients, hearing about the deception, started pulling their business from Empower SEO. Juliet's social media went silent. Then, about a month later, the company's website was taken down. Empower SEO was finished. We never set out to destroy her business. We just wanted a fair chance to work. She was the one who built her entire brand on a foundation of hypocrisy and discrimination. She believed her own ideology so much that she couldn't see the truth right in front of her. We just gave her a taste of reality, and for her, that was enough to make the whole thing crumble. Our agency is doing well now. We've hired a few more people, based on their skills and nothing else. Sometimes I think back to that rejection email. It's funny how a single, unjust moment can set you on a path you never would have imagined.